Hillary Clinton's final days as Secretary of State included one of her most difficult. On Wednesday, she spent more than 5 hours being grilled on Capitol Hill for the security failures in Benghazi that led to the deaths of U.S. Ambassador Chris Stevens and 3 other Americans, the biggest diplomatic disaster of this administration. The accountability review led by Admiral Mike Mullen and Ambassador Thomas Pickering found, among many failures, that Stevens' repeated requests for better security never made it to Clinton's desk. And representatives and senators pressed her on whether the administration covered up the nature of the terrorist attack.
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make? It is our job to figure out what happened and do everything we can to prevent it from ever happening again, Senator.
I want to talk about the hearings this week. You had a very long day. Also, how is your health?
Oh, it's great. It's great. Now, I still have some lingering effects from falling on my head and having the blood clot, but, the doctors tell me that will all recede, and so thankfully I'm, looking forward to being at full speed.
Right. I notice your glasses are...
Yeah, I have some lingering effects from the concussion that are decreasing and will disappear, but I have a lot of sympathy now when I pick up the paper and read about an athlete or one of our soldiers who's had traumatic brain injury. I'd never had anything like that in my family, and so, I'm very conscious of how lucky I was.
You said during the hearings, you've accepted responsibility. You've accepted the very critical findings of Admiral Mullen and Ambassador Pickering. As the New York Times put it, you accepted responsibility, but not blame. Do you feel guilty in any way, at a personal level? Do you blame yourself that you didn't know or that you should have known?
Well, Steve, obviously I deeply regret what happened. As I've said many times, I knew Chris Stevens. I sent him there originally. It was a great personal loss to lose him and 3 other brave Americans. But I also have looked back and tried to figure out what we could do so that nobody, insofar as possible, would be in this position again. And as the Accountability Review Board pointed out, we did fix responsibility appropriately, and we're taking steps to implement that. But we also live in a dangerous world. And, the people I'm proud to serve and work with in our diplomatic and development personnel ranks, they know it's a dangerous and risky world. We just have to do everything we can to try to make it as secure as possible for them.
I think one of the things that humbles you as president, I'm sure Hillary feels the same way as Secretary of State, is that you realize that all you can do every single day is to figure out a direction. Make sure that you are working as hard as you can to put people in place where they can succeed. Ask the right questions, shape the right strategy. But it's going to be a team that both succeeds and fails. It's a process of constant improvement because this world is big and it is chaotic. I remember Bob Gates, first thing he said to me, I think maybe first week or two, and he'd obviously been through 7 presidents or something. He says, Mr. President, one thing I can guarantee you is that at this moment, somewhere, somehow, somebody in the federal government is screwing up. And and so part of what you're trying to do is to constantly improve systems and accountability and transparency to minimize those mistakes and ensure success. It is a dangerous world, and that's part of the reason why we have to continue to get better.
The biggest criticism of this team in the U.S. foreign policy from your political opposition has been what they say an abdication of the United States on the world stage, sort of a reluctance to become involved in another entanglement, an unwillingness, or what appears to be an unwillingness to gauge big issues. Syria, for example.
Yeah, well, Muammar Gaddafi probably does not agree with that assessment, or at least if he was around, he wouldn't agree with that assessment. Obviously, we helped to put together and lay the groundwork for liberating Libya. When it comes to Egypt, I think had it not been for the leadership we showed, you might have seen a different outcome there. But also understanding that we do nobody a service when we leap before we look, where we take on things without having thought through all the consequences of it. And Syria is a classic example of where our involvement, we want to make sure that not only does it enhance U.S. security, but also that it is doing right by the people of Syria and neighbors like Israel that are going to be profoundly affected by it. And so it's true sometimes that we don't just shoot from the hip.
We live not only in a dangerous but an incredibly complicated world right now, with many different forces at work, both state-based and non-state, technology and communications. And I'm older than the president. I don't want to surprise anybody by saying that.
Not by much.
But I remember some of the speeches of Eisenhower as a young girl. You've got to be careful. You have to be thoughtful. You can't rush in, especially now where it's more complex than it's been in decades. So yes, are there what we call wicked problems like Syria, which is the one you named? Absolutely. And we are on the side of American values. We're on the side of freedom. We're on the side of the aspirations of all people to have a better life, have the opportunities that we are fortunate to have here. But it's not always easy to perceive exactly what must be done in order to get to that outcome. So, I certainly am grateful for the president's steady hand and hard questions and thoughtful analysis as to what we should and shouldn't do.
There are transitions and transformations taking place all around the world. We are not going to be able to control every aspect of every transition and transformation. Sometimes they're going to go sideways. Sometimes there will be unintended consequences. And our job is to, number one, look after America's security and national interests. But number two, find where are those opportunities where our intervention, our engagement can really make a difference, and to be opportunistic about that. And that's something that I think Hilary has done consistently. I think the team at the State Department has done consistently. And that's what I intend to continue to do over the next 4 years.
Thank you very much.
All right.